she's got a meeting to go to. She may not be coming here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of walk through this whole thing, how it's all going to work, and we'll get y'all going here. So walk through the syllabus, explain the course. We may do a little bit of lecture, but for those that were with us last time, we did 2-hour courses in 8 weeks. The feedback I got and looking at how things worked out, that was kind of a heavy load. So what we're going to do is we'll do 16 weeks, 1 hour. So we will be done at 8 o'clock. I will shut up at 8 o'clock no matter where we're at in the whole thing. So, huh? What did you say?
Sorry, I joke.
Man, oh man. This is... You, brother, do not throw a stone if you can't. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying. All right. So, I'll go over the syllabus, talk about that stuff. Just kind of walk through all that, answer any questions. I have to do this to make sure we cover everything. So we'll go through. Okay, so click on this. Okay. So objectives of the course, the regular, understand what the Old Testament is. The Old Testament, most people know a lot of the stories from the Old Testament, but they don't know how it really breaks down, which gives a whole lot of opening to what the Old Testament is, how it works, how to understand it. And that's a really big part of it because, what we call the historical books. Okay, what does the word Pentateuch mean? You can answer.
First 5 books.
First 5 books of the Old Testament, right. So a lot of people don't know what that is. What's the difference in a historical book and a poetic? Poetic, why is it doing that? Okay. What are the poetic books? Psalms, what else?
Song of Solomon.
Yeah? Huh? Ecclesiastes, yeah. Is Lamentations a poetic? Huh? In fact, some consider a poetic, but it's connected to prophetic. Why would it be connected to what's the connection between Lamentations and what prophet? Jeremiah. So, but there's a lot. Now, when was Job written? Or when does Job come from in time frame? In the Old Testament.
First book written
Patriarchal period. Or we don't know the exact date. We have some estimates. So, but why is it put way later? Right. Kind of fluid. But what makes a major prophet a minor prophet? Don't answer. Aaron, what makes this a major prophet and a minor prophet?
This is my first time in this class.
And we got to guess.
One's cooler than the other.
Huh?
One's cooler than the other.
One's cooler than the other.
Yeah.
Know what the difference in a major prophet and a minor prophet is? The size of the manuscript itself. That's it. They have no more influence or more validity more than the other. When we talk about historical books, and we talk after the patriarchs, you get into the 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and Chronicles. They overlap. Some emphasize one part of the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom after David. So all this gets all kind of mixed in, and understanding that's really key to understanding the Old Testament, as a whole. So that's a big part of what kind of walkthrough is understanding a lot of the context and then the bigger picture of it all.
So, the Pentateuch, right?
Right, first 5 books. Penta, 5. Yeah. Tuch is book. Yep, the 5 books.
Torah, there's different
Torah and Pentateuch, because the Pentateuch and Torah are the same thing. Yeah. Now, and that we vowed as part of our scripture. Of course, the Jews believe in that. Also, Islam likes the Torah.
Oh, okay. So that's their...
They'll have some different bents on it.
Yeah.
Their translation may not match up with our translations,
I was
but...
just wondering if, the names...
Pentateuch is Latin. It just means 5 books.
5 books,
Yeah.
Right.
Torah is Hebrew, means law.
Right, which was the books of law.
It's also referred to as the books of the law.
Yeah.
Books of law, and the books of Moses, too. Books of Moses being the Jewish context. Books of law being more a general context, yes. More literal.
I've heard all of them, so
Yeah.
it's just
And they're interchanged.
Yeah.
It depends on the context. And sometimes when you hear that, you go, okay, there's a little bit of a bent to why they say that. It's kind of fun. If you get into that, it's kind of a whole different thing. And how we use in most modern day, we'll say Torah law. Pentateuch is not used pretty commonly, but if somebody uses Torah and they say Pentateuch, it's the same 5 books. It's Moses type of thing. Okay, we'll dig into all that later on. Okay, one of the big things I want to emphasize, my bottom point there is that a lot of the content. Now, last time I did New Testament, I followed the outline of the book For this course, the lecture will not follow the outline of the book. You read the book, you take the test, you study it, that's what it's for. I will hit some high points, some things I really want to hit, but there'll be lecture that I really feel it's important to build a bridge between the Old Testament and New Testament, and also understanding what we call the kind of Christological idea of the Old Testament. That, from our view, as evangelicals, Protestant, Pentecostal believers, we view Christ as central of all Scripture, so that carries into the Old Testament. So there'll be lectures I do that will be very much kind of bigger picture and making that bridge between the two. So that'd be one thing a little bit different. So because people are going to say, you can't repeat the same thing the book said. Well, okay. So we will. So I thought, okay, I dug around, did some research, came up with some stuff, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go along. All right. So textbooks. Okay, gotta hit the button. Drive me nuts. All right. Go. Okay. Textbooks. Bible. That's always good. There will be select readings of the Old Testament you have to read. You do not have to read. In New Testament, I had to read the entire New Testament. I would really like you to read the Old Testament, but you're going, dude, are you scared of me? One of the best things to do in the Bible reading is read the whole Bible in 90 days. That's a fun thing to do. So if you want to read the whole Old Testament, cool. I encourage you to do so. It's a great way to do that if you get the time to do so. There in the syllabus, it has key text references, scriptures that we want you to read and hit. It basically adds up to about 16 hours worth of reading. That's how it breaks down. So you'll follow that. That's a great way to do that. The textbook itself is this textbook. We use the New Testament version of this, and this is the Encounter in the Old Testament. It's put up by Baker. I like the text. It's very well used. I think it's well written. Now you're saying, what do you mean? I have read a lot of Old Testament and New Testament, especially Old Testament overview, introductory books. They can get really dry because it's a lot of content. So there's no perfect book, but Zondervan has one I really looked at, and I thought this is pretty good. I liked it. Some of the resources that it gave me to work with, so I thought it's a good text to go with. So LS bought a copy. This is also available in ebook form through Amazon or whatever. You can download and use it as an e-reader. I don't use a hard copy. I do ebook. I do my Kindle books, and that's fine. If you want to get that's a little bit cheaper, this is like $24.74. I have a copy. If you want to buy it, it's $24.74. Just write check the church. We're good. If you want to get the ebook, buy one on your own. You're more than perfectly welcome to do so. That's fine. But it's here. It's available. If you want to get one, I ordered one for LS. I got one just to have one. And if you guys want it, it is there. Just let me know. Okay. But if you get the online book, or make sure it's 3rd edition. Which you can get another edition. That's fine. Won't be too much problem. But just because when you take the quizzes and exams, 90% of the content of the tests and quizzes will be based on the text. And so they may some stuff may line up fine, no big deal. So like going, it's not there. I didn't read it. Don't know where it's at because you don't have the right edition. So 3rd edition is really important for those enrolled in the course. Okay. Any questions about any of that so far? Good? Okay. So the schedule is, like I said, we'll meet weekly on Tuesday nights, 7, 8 o'clock. We're doing the syllabus tonight. Then we'll do Intro to Pentateuch next week. That'll be a very general topic. I want to hit some big topics. Then I'll get some other lectures and so forth. Each week, you will be given 1 to 3, varies upon schedule. This is in the syllabus there. 1 to 3 quizzes to do. Quizzes will be 8 to 9 questions. You'll have 50. It's now all quizzes are online. All tests are online. All the quizzes. Now, for how it's going to work, and I'll explain a little bit better. There's going to be 2 parallel things for the enrolled students with Trinity and then the audit students. It's literally is parallel. It's the same exact stuff. It's just you guys go to the Lakeside Leadership Ministry School, Moodle, and these guys are the Trinity one. That's it. They will be. I got to set the one up for Trinity. Then I'll literally copy the whole thing and put it on this one. And it's good to go. So that's how it's going to work. So, but the quizzes. Now you guys got taken for a grade. You guys can take them for fun. That's your choice. Okay. The quizzes, though, they'll be, when you take a quiz, it's 15 minutes that you have to take them. You only get 1 attempt. It's open book. Okay, you can have the book in front of you and walk through it. I had some students, many of my students last term, they would do it in less than 5 minutes, and they get them all right. Okay, I don't care. It's no big deal. 15 minutes was ample time. I don't think anybody had a problem with that in the past. And so it's 8 or 9 questions. It depends on the question. Each point value, though, the quiz value, each quiz worth 6 or 7 points. There's more questions in that, but it's why I'm doing this quiz that way. So that'll be online. So then there'll be, instead of a midterm and final, there'll be unit test. The unit test, there's an intro exam, intro unit exam, which I thought was kind of weird, but how they did it. That'll be on basic chapters 1 and 2, and that'll be with 60 questions, and it will, and it will. I'll give you guys an hour and 15 minutes, about 75 minutes to finish that up. Then there's two good sized unit tests after that. Then there's a small one with poetics. Then the prophetics is, I give you guys like 3 hours to finish the test. It's going to be a lot of questions. So that's going to be a big topic to go over that way. On schedule, in general, we meet every day, 7 to 8. If you have to miss a class, you can't be here in person. Not a problem. This, I'm recording this right now, and I'll fill this online later on. Usually I live stream it, but the live stream was not working right. Something's weird with the account. I got to figure that out. But we'll upload the lecture video online. On the lecture video on each class, and you'll see there's how it works out. I may flip it over if you're a little bit lost in how the Moodle works. You'll see the video, and then you'll just post it. Yeah, I was not there. I watched it. Randy, you were awesome and great. And then that's your 10, it's your mark, and that's cool. You don't comment anything to say yes, I watched. But that's the way to do it. And there'll be 1 week, which will be the week of the 23rd of November. I'm on vacation that week, and I'll be on Jonah, and we'll hit that. It'll be online only that week. Okay, so let's be simple that way. So, but you can always do online or in person. Encourage everybody in person. It just tends to work a little bit better for everybody. But there's online, gives everybody flexibility. I find out. I've built in this course a lot of flexibility. So let's kind of talk about that. So that goes into methodology. So it's hybrid. So it's in person, weekly lectures. In person, except the weekly lectures and the Old Testament presentations, I prefer in person. If you want to do them online, we'll go over that later on how that's going to work out with that. So the same we'll talk about later. Online, all lectures are recorded, live stream typically, as long as everything works. Otherwise, upload later. All quizzes and all unit exams are all online. I'm not going to give you guys a kit. It's just automatically graded. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as you get it done, I see the grade. I don't have to worry about it. It's done. They'll be on the last day, in the last week of the course, you'll see an Old Testament reading checklist. When you do the reading, it's all laid out in there. When you finish the reading, just mark them. I did that, and then it marks it. If you do 50% of it, you get 50% of the points. If you do 75%, you get 75% points. No big deal. That's how it works. Pretty simple that way. All grades will be posted online. Then the way it works, flexible schedule. So right now, the first 3 or 4 quizzes are available right now. You can take them right now and do them right now if you want to. They will be available until December 27th at 11:59 p.m. Then that's it. So you have now until the end of the course. You get 1 attempt, and you take it. That's it. You can't retake it. But so what that gives you is that, okay, if you get a busy week or whatever, can I do it later? You can do it later. I don't care. As long as you have it all done by December 7th at 11:59 p.m. Okay? And that will be true for both on for the enrolled students and the audits. Okay, so you can take it any time, and we did that last term because the schedule kind of got weird for us, and I find that for everybody that's working and involved with ministry and stuff like that, that flexibility was worked out well for most part. And I know if you got a vacation, you're gonna be out of town, you're gonna do something, get heavy with work. It's built in that flexible. It was a little bit of a thing when we did it last time that we had to get an okie dokie from Trinity, but they basically kind of changed their status. We can do that, no big deal. So that's why I'm doing it that way. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. If you run across the equation, is it the deadline change? It's not the last day of the class. Then Randy, then I got to change the setting. I goofed up something, so just be aware of that. So like I said, for the audits, there'll be a separate Moodle setup. It will be it's going to be a simple deal. So just say these things, cover my handy things. Okay, there's enrolled students. Okay, you've applied to Trinity and Bible College and graduate school. You're accepted. You're good. Audits are just Lakeside only. Nothing to register with Trinity with this. Okay, it says with the church. There's a $15 fee that pays for materials, all that fun stuff, your handouts, also the access to the Moodle. That's how I'm funding that. Mike, let me make a deal. I'm going to cover the cost of this because there's cost with that. Then if you audit a course, you cannot transfer the coursework to a Trinity class. Okay. If midterm, you say, I really want to take this for class board, I'm paying the money and all that fun stuff, we can ask Trinity to let it do it. I can possibly give you a grade, but once the class is done, doors should be done, the books should be closed. Okay. So it's not. So if you want to take a course and say, "Oh, I did it. Can I transfer that?" Nope. You can. If you retake it again, it'd be the same exact course. You probably whiz through it. No big deal. But just be aware of that. Don't think, "Oh, no, it doesn't work that way," because this is just with Lakeside. We're just using the same material and all and stuff. Kind of the cool thing we can do with this. Okay. All right. Attendance. You can miss 4 classes. No big deal. But you can always. But if you say I missed a class, watch it online. Post it on there. I watched it. Then your attendance made. No big deal. No big deal. Audits don't have to worry about it. It's just a thing. Okay. Weekly reading quizzes. There'll be 1 to 3 quizzes a week. There's 44 quizzes total in all. It is 25% of your total grade. Okay. All the quizzes, I will have them all available by Labor Day. I'll have them all done, cleaned up, marked, good to go by Labor Day. That's my drop dead date for that. You have until December 7th at 11:59 p.m. to finish all exams and quizzes. I should say quizzes. Audits can take all quizzes also on the Moodle. Okay. And if you want to say, I want to do that, you can actually have some fun with that. Old Testament reading is 10% of your grade. You can read or listen to the Bible. You do not have to read it word for word. You can, if you're going to have Bible on audio on an app. The Bible app has that. If you want to do that, that's fine too. No big deal. Because the idea is you get a big view of the book. A lot of times we'll read a scripture or a book, and we'll read like 1 or 2 chapters, and not that bigger picture of things. It's a good discipline in Bible study. If you're going to read a book or study a book of the Bible, you read the whole book in as short a setting as you can. Just power through the subject to get the big picture of it. So that's the idea behind this. It's not to get into the minutia of it. Okay. You got to basically write on the checklist. It's everything when it's all due on December 7th by 11:59 p.m. Again, that's that flexibility. Okay. And the checklist would be on both Moodles. Okay. OT topic presentation. Last, when we did New Testament, people can take a book of the Bible, of the New Testament, and do a report on it. You can, for this topic, you can pick a book of the New Testament. You can also pick a topic, a person, a theological issue. It's up to you. I just got to submit it to me. And now the audits, the enrolled students have to do this assignment. Audits, they want to take a whack at it. Rock on. Cool, we'll take it. It's a great study, but I'm giving you a lot more freedom to choose your topic. Now, you have to email me your topic that you're going to choose by, I think, what date I put on here. I put it on here December 7th or September 7th. And I maybe a little bit ahead of time. So, okay, I want to do this topic. And I go, that's not a smart topic, or you're not going to be able to get enough time. You're going to be more narrow with it, or come on, you got to step it up. Just make sure give me a little heads up before that, because December 7th, you got to have that finalized. Then what we'll do on the 4 dates that I mark on there, which is in your syllabus, in the syllabus I have 4 dates that will do those presentations. And so, it's luck of the draw, who gets what date, and how we're going to fit in the schedule. Okay? But the enrolled students have to do it. If you do it online, you have to. If you want to say I want to do it in front of everybody, can I do it at home on a computer? That's fine. You record it, upload it to a YouTube or whatever, and send me the link. Do not send me a recorded file. Do not give me a PowerPoint. You do it all with the link ready to go. Okay? Because that doesn't work too good. You can use PowerPoint software. That is required. You don't have to provide notes. Again, all that stuff is laid out in the back. If you look in your syllabus, it lays this out. But there's the grading rubric that your peer group will evaluate your presentation, and I'll give a grade. 10 points. So with 115 points, 10 points of that grade is your timeliness. If you fall below 10 minutes, you lose points. You go over 15 minutes, you lose points. The more you go over, the more short, the more points you lose. Okay. But then we'll be getting for content, the quality of presentation, all that stuff. Okay. A big part of this, though, is I do not want you to pull just from the text. Okay. In there, I put a link on the Trinity Bible College. They have a link. There's a whole page of online resources that you should be able to tap into. When it comes to Bible study, there's a lot of stuff out there. Online, there's a lot more stuff on there. I was going on Bible Gateway. You can pay, I think it's $3 a month to get on their online Bible study resources. There's some good stuff on there. I was going to say, yeah, you guys want to look at that, try that out. That's cool. I have, there's one, like, they push John MacArthur. I'm not a fan of John MacArthur because John MacArthur's not big on Pentecostals, okay? So, I'm like, oh, not so thrilled with that one. Blue Letter Bible's another one out there, but they have a little more bent towards Reformed because they're out of Calvary Church in California. So there's a lot of good resources. You just got to be able to weed through them. So the Trinity stuff is a good place to look at, to pull from. There's a lot of articles. It digs in kind of deep. You got to kind of poke around with that, but get familiar with that and know how to navigate through it, okay? And use that as a key resource for all the stuff that you're going to do. If you say, I want to get into a great software, Bible software, Logos it's a Logos Bible software. It's really like the Cadillac. It's not cheap. They used to have, I can't remember now if they have a $50 package or not, but I at least paid $1,200 for one package when I was in Moody, and that's what I run off of right now. So, it's great stuff. I love it because it's, we get a hermeneutics class. I would kind of say, if you want to dig into it, look into how to really dig into that stuff because that's a lot of great resource. But you can do it on the cheap, but it's just a little bit harder to do it, and that just makes it easier. I mean, when I was in Bible college, we did biblical languages, and you'd have to, to open up biblical languages, you had 4 different books. You find a word in the concordance, find the code number with it, find the definition behind that, then take that and go into other 4 of the books, and that would unpack the whole word. And that would take about an hour, maybe an hour or so to look up one word. Now, with like a Logos software, you click on here's that scripture verse, here's this word, boom, and there's everything you need that will take me an hour to dig up. So the technology's made it a lot different, and there's really a lot of tools you can leverage. So, but if you really want to dig into that, that's, again, Logos is probably one of the best ones out there and one of my favorites, but it's not cheap. So I'll just be honest with you about that one. But there's some cheaper versions out there that aren't too bad. So if you want to get into it, it's something to look into. So, but that's something to look at for the presentation. Again, 10 to 15 minutes. Time is important because it's time. We're limited. The topic, choose that out before we get started and prepare a PowerPoint. If you need help with that, you can ask about it, but YouTube videos. Unit exams. There'll be 5 exams, actually. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5. There's 5 exams. There's the pre-intro exam. That's for like 60 points. Then there's Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. Unit 4 is on the prophetics. So each, if you look at if you looked at the syllabus and you see how I have in the schedule, I'm gonna go back on it. Let me go back to this here. Let me go back to this. It has. Where are you at? There you go. Come on now. There you go. Oh, that's it. Whoop, pass it too far. So you have the schedule. You have Pentateuch, then historical, then poetic and prophets, and then the first step. So intro, there's one exam which will be open up for you guys on the 31st of this month. It's just the first 2 chapters. Then it's unit exam is over Pentateuch, unit exam over the historical, unit exam over poetic, unit exam over the prophets. So that's how that works. So because the content varies, I didn't keep the unit exams all the same points. I varied it based upon the unit you're going to study, and so that kind of varies a little bit that way. So that's how it's kind of designed that way. Okay. All right. We'll cook it through pretty good. Any questions about any of this so far? Anybody confused, lost, bewildered? Good? Good? Okay. Aaron, you with me? I know it's kind of, yeah, I mean, sometimes you get a little bit lost in this stuff, reading,
Blast for 60.
Huh?
Just put me on blast for 16 minutes. We're back.
Well, yeah, you were getting bored.
See? He's not a fan either.
I do it in 2-hour periods, so we're just
There's a lot of work for me. I was
He
like,
was just talking the whole time.
like,
It's
"Ah!"
a lot of work for him, and it's too much Pastor Andy for me.
And yeah, okay, Aaron gets the point. Okay, so unit exams. Grades. Okay, so quiz are worth 255 points total. The Old Testament reading and listening is worth 100 points. The Old Testament presentation is worth 115 points.
TV stuff there.
Oh, wait, I didn't see. I looked at the wrong window here. Okay, sorry. So quizzes are 255. Old Testament reading and listening is worth 100 points. That's an easy, really easy thing. I mean, you can read it. It is literally 16 hours worth of reading, and I checked it out and verified it. If what's outlined in the syllabus, if you follow that outline, it's that's kind of a weird outline. I kind of and I researched it and kind of figured, okay, that's the best one to go with, and I did a bunch of work on it. And okay, that's good. But it's 16 hours worth of reading compared. Now, if you did the whole Old Testament, I think it's about 35 to 40 hours to read straight. So we cut that down. I'm like, let them have it. One thing Dr. Brown read up and said, you do have a lot of content, kind of a lot of work for these guys. I go, the problem is what? So I'll be a little bit nicer, a little bit. I said, get down a notch or two. There's a couple things in here that I didn't have from the last class. So I'm being nice to y'all. So the intro exam is in 2 weeks. Okay, we'll finish up, but then I'll give you guys the first week of historical books to kick in on that. So I may have it available if I get a chance to get it done. I might. It may be close to done. I would tweak that one pretty quick. It should be available. Probably maybe available by this weekend. But then the one thing with it, I give you guys flexibility with the schedule, but if you get far behind, you'll be hurting. Okay. So either plan ahead, move ahead, with the quizzes or whatever, and try to stay on top of it, because if you get behind, this will bury you pretty quick. Because you basically have to read the whole text, this is like probably one of the biggest texts you will read in this whole program. There's not, the theology book, the biblical theology book, was it maybe a third of this, maybe? New Testament was probably not even, it was maybe 80% of that. So it wasn't that, isn't as much as this one was. Now you guys took it. What text did you guys use for your class?
I used the survey for the New Testament.
Written by who?
I don't remember.
Okay. Because you guys, they did with Dr. Brown. Was it Dr. Brown Reader, or was it someone else who taught that? Yeah. So he probably gave him a really easy class.
I felt like I was in high school all over.
So I don't know. There's no sexy book with that, but anyways. So there's a lot of reading, in this, which is again great stuff. There's a lot of power of skimming. Once you learn it, I think kind of find a room how to find stuff. Some go look at the quiz. Now you can't open the quiz and look at the answers, because once you open it up, you got 15 minutes to finish it.
Right.
You can't go back to it later. So that I don't know how. But I don't know how Bob Reader did his stuff, but I'm like, that's how I do. He didn't time. He's nice.
I thought at the end it showed how long you took.
It should. I think it should show you how well you did, but that's about it.
There was no time limit.
Yeah, I figured 15 minutes. It's just kind of get it going.
Okay.
So that's my way we done. So, but then, like I said, most of them, if you read the chapter, kind of highlight it, note it, you should be able to get it done in a few minutes. It shouldn't be that hard for the quiz. The exam material is much more in depth than the quiz material.
Right.
It's almost 2 or 3 times more content for the exam. Okay, so it's just different with that. The unit exams, we've talked about that. Points vary for that for a total of 1,000 points. I find that to be the best way to do that. Okay. So, any questions about any of that? Any assignments? Clear. Basically, quizzes, the exams, the presentation, and then we'll on the 7th those are due to me by the 7th at noon, and then I will say, okay, this is scheduled. This is your turn. This is where you go. If there's and then tell me this: when you send me your email your presentation topic, and you say these dates I won't be able to be there. Just let me know if you look at this. If you look at the syllabus and say, okay, Pastor Randy has us doing this presentation thing. Where's that here? And I put on the 5th of October, the 19th of October, the 2nd of November, and the 16th of November. You say, well, I'm going to be gone one of those days. Tell me in the email. I'm going to be gone. Don't plan on me that day, and that's fine. But it makes it logistically more easier. So then I'll party on that day. But then if you're going to be here, we'll slap you and you'll be good to go. Yes.
How much of a notice do you need?
I'd like you to on the 7th let me know that you can do it.
I'll try.
Okay.
I don't really have a schedule when I'm going to be available or not because of my grandpa.
Right. Well, there's some flexibility with it. You just let me know. If you let me know a week ahead of time, we can adjust for it that way. Usually, the day of we can make it because what it is, I'm gonna we have an hour. If I have 2 or 3 of you guys doing your presentation, that's half the class.
Yeah.
Then I go what am I going to do the rest of the time? So that's what make it work. Okay, make sense? Okay. So if you let me know a couple days ahead of time, I can adjust the lecture or whatever. That's fine.
I'll keep you updated.
Okay, that's cool. That works. Okay, so there's that. So let me know about that. Then for the audits, you guys will get an email with a link to the Moodle when it's set up. It's just got to get transferred over, so I can do that real quick. So that's pretty simple with that. Okay. For the presentation, look at the description, but it's really funny. This is what's called a rubric, and just read it. What's going to give you your grade is it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's not. There's no guesswork. It's like this is what we're going to be looking for, what the points are worth, and that's it. If you I've had people do this, and they go. I had some people not even look at this. They go ask me a question. They go, "Did you read the rubric?" They go, "No." I go, "Well, I write this stuff. It's like that's there for a reason. It's pretty simple." So that's the simple thing with that. Okay. Any other questions?
For the presentation, that's in person?
I prefer in person. You can do it online, but if you do it online, then you got to upload it to like a YouTube or some type of video service, and then send a link to it, and we'll post it on the page. But it's easier for you to do it in person. Okay, so just left it that way. Okay, I think I hit everything on this stuff. There's one more. I want to hit hermeneutics a little bit and talk about that briefly. And then we'll call it a day. All right, so we talked about quizzes, reading, the exams. So that's in a nutshell for the syllabus as a whole. Okay. And then final grade. So once you do the presentation, the quizzes and tests are all done online. As soon as you get done with the test, the grade is posted. It's not like there's some big what my grade is. And you should know pretty quick. I'm not going to go back and review the grades. It's just what it is. The only time we had an issue with one of the first exam we did, it was a quiz or exam, I think it was the exam, and so we had to make some modifications because of that. We navigated that, huh? The time limit was too short, and so I really made sure. Okay, it's basically a minute per question, and I had 25%.
Was everything multiple choice?
It's always multiple choice. Multiple choice. No writing questions. I think it's multiple choice. I keep it for this content because it's so broad. It's so vast. It's more like general information kind of thinking through, and that's where the quizzes and tests come through. When we talk about in a lecture, where we'll have, it's going to be some discussions, some things of that nature. Of okay, how does this relate? How does the teachings of Moses and relate to us today? How does the life of a Jewish believer during the time of the Exodus relate to us today? What importance is that? And can we get some importance? Sometimes it seems so distant, it's hard to connect that. But we'll kind of walk through some of those topics. That we'll do more in class and lecture and discussion stuff. Okay? Any other questions? Bunch of confusion. All right. Let's talk about hermeneutics real quick. Hermeneutics is the structure. Okay. And if I want to be for any point value, but if I can find it, one of the best lectures I saw on hermeneutics was not done in a biblical context. Does anybody know what context it could have been done? See if you guys are really sharp. Huh? Do you remember what I said? Huh? Law. And more particularly, constitutional law. And really how the Supreme Court works. Hermeneutics, the core of hermeneutics, it's not a solo biblical idea. Hermeneutics is interpreting documents that are historically based and try to interpret them to how they apply to the current day and time. So law and interpreting laws as a whole that's what they do. You take precedent law and then hash through it to figure out how to do it. So when Supreme Court is discussing issues of religious freedom, they're trying to interpret what the original writers meant. And how does that work today? And so with that, you have a conservative or liberal view. And interpretation, this is an example. I read a book, on, it was written by a guy from Denver Seminary, very highly viewed author, and he was trying to interpret. He used personality profile theory to apply to Christ. And it was a well-written book, well-received, and I hated it. I hated the book because it was taking a method of personality theory that is current today, trying to apply it to Christ based upon ancient literature. It's the wrong way. You can't take modern thinking and put it into context of ancient literature. When you do that, it's called what we call eisegesis. Exegesis says this is what this scripture says, and let's bridge it to today. Eisegesis says, okay, this is what I want it to take based on my culture and understanding, and it's backwards that way. But that's done in a lot of contexts. Where you'll see the difference between oh boy, biggest hot topic today, LGBTQ issues. Does the Bible say anything about that? Yes, there's a lot about it. Is it positive or negative?
Against it? Negative.
Negative. So how do churches say, well, the Bible is okay with homosexual relationships, homosexual marriage?
Not fully supporting the whole gospel.
They attach it to cultural issues.
They attach the cultural issues.
They become people pleasers rather than.
But now it's not that simple. We think that, but they will take with that eisegesis idea. I interpret this. I'm seeing this today, and so I'll take this scripture of Christ's redemption, love, and redemption for all humanity, and I'll apply that into this day and age. Oh, well, what was said in the Old Testament, that's what they usually go to. That doesn't apply to us today. And so, but they'll say, but God's grace is overshadowing them, and they'll be over. Now, I'm not more.
I think there's definitely churches that are like, well, this could affect a lot of things, and so like the tide could go down. This stuff could go down because of if they take a stance on something.
But there's a general theory, and if you look at it, we're a liberal and a more conservative. Liberal and conservative is not political in biblical context. Liberal and conservative is, okay, I believe what Scripture says is true. I believe that Scripture itself is infallible. Is that core belief that what Scripture says is true. It doesn't change. But there's another side of it. Scripture does change. How we interpret it changes. Now, and you can see this in different points of history. For example, he's got a name different. Where's the idea of purgatory come from? Have you got an idea? Pastor Randy's nutshell interpretation. A pope had some bad food and a bad dream and came with the idea of purgatory. In a nutshell. There's be a lot more to it, but that's basically what. But the Pope said, this is a new thing that we will create. Now, in the Catholic Church, they believe in the supremacy of Scripture, that the Scripture is inerrant. Okay. Then how do they get this idea of purgatory? How do they get the ideas of sainthood and all that stuff?
They got to use authority.
Other views of
It's also available to the church councils.
because now what the Pope is what the Holy See is what the seat of who?
He's the vicar of Christ.
The vicar of Christ, which
Christ's
is
voice on earth, and his authority.
right, and he seats in the seat of Peter, which is that now goes back to when Jesus said, "You're the rock" and all that. So the problem is that the Pope's opinion, the Pope's views become doctrine. So in some aspects, it's one way of interpreting it. So that temporary idea becomes doctrine for the Catholic Church. If it's accepted historically long enough, it becomes doctrine also. Some sticks around long enough, it becomes true. Right. May not be true, but see, so the Catholics have a view of interpretation. We have a view of interpretation. What we call the liberal side of things have an interpretation, and the conservative side have an interpretation. But all of that's a hermeneutic. It's the lens you view from. So when you go to Scripture, you have a lens. When you go to the Old Testament, you, because of who you are, have a lens. One of the biggest challenges this day is what we call postmodernism, is that my truth is my truth, your truth is your truth. And that's how I view life. Now, is the truth of Aaron, that Aaron may see a 50-year-old fat guy in front of him, truth or not? I may see a pretty decent, handsome guy over here, but he sees something different. Is his truth different than my truth? His lens is different than my lens. Both are right.
Right.
Okay. But then, because that's now postmodernism, that's all that matters. But then that eliminates no standard of what is truth. Okay, so that gets a whole deep stuff. So when we look at the Old Testament, that's why hermeneutics is so important in the Old Testament, because we're so far removed from it. How long ago was the books of Moses written? 3,000 years ago. That's most conservative term. Some say 3,000 to 6,000. Yeah. So there's a lot of variance in that. That's a lot of time. And so how we interpret that has a lot to base upon culture, a lot of based upon how things are written. Now, how do we know that book of Moses, Job, which is probably the oldest book written, how do we know it's true now? How much of that is fantasy? How much is reality? When is allegory or prophetic word prophetic allegory and what is actual spoken truth? Dissecting that is the process of hermeneutics. So the things that they use the grammatical historical method. There's understanding grammar, how it's structured. The Old Testament. I mean, can you guys pick up the Old Testament and read it in its natural form? No. You gotta know biblical Hebrew. That's a whole different ballgame. They read backwards for crying out loud. It's just a whole different thing. Understand the context. Okay. Determine the type of literature. So the books of Moses are written differently in different parts of Book of Moses. So Deuteronomy is a repeat. Because it's Moses, it's a series of sermons of Moses at the end of his ministry, retelling the story of Israel to the nation of Israel before they go in the Promised Land. Right. So it tells stories a little bit differently, a little bit shades different. Is that wrong? It's just different information. Okay. So understand the type of literature, understand the prophetic compared to poetic, and different types of prophetic, and the eras that they were written. There's different shades of that. I had one guy start preaching about a prophetic, and he was using stuff that fit Jeremiah great. It did not fit the book he was talking about at all. Because I go, dude, it's like he's talking about, the different views of the kingdom and going, dude, Jeremiah was Southern Kingdom, a little rusty on this, I'm getting brushed up on stuff. And he's pulling a prophet that was totally Northern Kingdom. I go, dude, you're like, no, you can't do that. That's bad hermeneutic. Because hermeneutics says, okay, this is what the original intent is that we best understand it. Then what principles apply to us today? That's good preaching too. Good preaching does that. If preaching says going back to the idea, I take this theory of the world that I see today and try to fit that on Scripture. Bad hermeneutic. But we do it all day long. We think that the experience that the person that we're reading about is the same as ours. But yet, how can you relate to Abram and Sarah being 100 years old? I mean, that's older than him. Trying to,
He's not that old yet. Very young.
I have a defender.
You needed to. I need Alicia here to set you straight because she's on my side. Anyway, so
She mad at you and Aaron.
so you have to bridge the gap between understanding that world. I mean, they had multiple. David, how many wives did David have, for crying out loud? Huh? No. A lot. Huh? Yeah, but then he had
There's a list, and then he had all those concubines.
and he had all the concubines. Then his son really weird with it. I can only handle one wife. I'm good. But how does that make sense? Why does that make sense? It's a different context. We can't blow that. How can we, and I listened to a lecture, I may send a link on it just for you guys if you guys want to dig into it. Was by John Walton. John Walton is an Old Testament professor out of Wheaton. He's probably one of my favorite Old Testament scholars. And he did a podcast with the guys that do the Bible Project. And they dug into some real deep theories. And he has a couple of books written about how do we deal with the issues of the death of, that the nation of Israel put upon those in the land of Canaan. God said, get rid of it all. And they did. Where's grace and mercy in that? Now, there's a whole lot of argument you can discuss, and I'm not, but there's a lot. But people, if you don't understand the context, someone's going to throw that at you, and you're going, oh, no. There's reasons for that. And you got to understand them. You got to understand the context. We can't blow over it either, because it's true. Because when you talk to people that are not faith, if they're sharp, they know that stuff, and they'll throw that at you. And you better have a good answer. Okay. So because you got to understand the context and bridge the gap. Interpret figurative language. That's always a fun thing. Sometimes it gets kind of funny. Let Scripture interpret Scripture. That's always your best thing. When Scripture interprets Scripture, is the best thing in the world. Today, Pastor's talking about our heavenly bodies. He asks the question: is conversion? How do you say it was conversion?
Completion.
It's conversion completion. Is it?
Let me get back to you on that. Let me get back to you on that.
What do you say, Derek? No, he's right. It's not. It's the beginning. But when will we be done? I was saying we get there when we shall be resurrected, and we're full. Resurrection is physical, mental, spiritual. It's not a ghost. It's a body that's fully redeemed. Now, what will that body look like? But a little bit different. Jesus was a little bit different, and he referenced it. I was going to bring it up, but because of time, I didn't bring it up. We went long today. He went long, but the issue is that the transfiguration. When Peter, James, and John go up with Jesus, and then all of a sudden, here's Moses and Elijah show up, and Jesus like glowing like light, and a cloud comes, like God speaks, and it's like Peter, James, John going. Only one spoke up was Peter. They go, whoa, we got to build some little tabernacles here, and Jesus, forget that. But Jesus appeared with Moses and Elijah. Now, how did Peter, James, and John know it was Moses and Elijah? Was there introductions? I don't know. Kind of what about that? But the appearance of Christ became who he actually was. If we are co-heirs with Christ, we are his children, we shall be like Elijah and Moses. Same deal. That's trippy. Yep. But Scripture interprets Scripture. How do you understand that if you understand the transfiguration in Gospels and Christ in the second coming on a white horse? Same thing. And the resurrected Christ in Gospels also. Pretty powerful stuff. Scripture interprets Scripture. Proof texts are important. We gotten really lazy in the church. When a preacher gets up and starts preaching, and he'll blow off a scripture, and you got going. And he'll take one scripture, but have nothing really to back it up. You go, because we don't bring our own Bible and look at it. You can go, wait a minute. Oh, it's up there, okay. Or he summarizes really quick. But dude, that scripture does not say that, let alone anything back it up. You can take a scripture and go off on something that has nothing to do with the reality. Scripture interprets Scripture. Scripture interprets Scripture. That's always the best way to go. And discover the application of modern life. So you bridge the gap. And it's real important. I want to hit this real quick. The book hits it in this first couple chapters, but I want to emphasize it because it's really important. Now we're going to do hermeneutics next. That'll be the next big class we do in the winter term. We'll hit hermeneutics, and there'll be a whole process with that. I got to get my head around that one because that's a lot of you guys do a lot of stuff with that, and you guys be digging through some stuff. That's a big part of that. So we'll be doing that next winter. So it's all part of the process. It's all good, but it's just part of the process. So, but it's understanding that, especially in the Old Testament, because you can get really lost in the woods in the Old Testament. Some people don't. I know some preachers, they don't like preaching on the Old Testament. There's some that love it. They can't get enough of it.
That's me. I love preaching on the Old Testament.
Because there's so much great truth out of it.
Oh, my goodness. Lots.
You know, some people, I want to just do the gospel. I just want to talk about Jesus. Well, you can't talk about Jesus without the Old Testament.
Exactly.
He fulfills all that. Because if you now, people will say things about Christ that will contradict what the Old Testament teaches. Guess what? They're wrong in their interpretation of who Christ is. What is laid out in the Old Testament, Christ fulfills, and that moves forward. He's fulfillment, not away from. And that's really important to understand. Right? I've seen it happen a couple times. I'm going, that's just totally off. I mean, what about this back here? You're forgetting this part. And they shade it, and that's not good. That's bad. Bad hermeneutic. Bad hermeneutic. You could do a Jesus-only hermeneutic. I got to stay here, and that's it. Now, I will, like I said, we're going to take some we call a Christ-central view of the Old Testament. There'll be some lectures along those lines. I'm having a Christ-centered view of hermeneutic. It's what it is. At least my interpretation of it. You can say I'm wrong. That's okay. Okay? So, with that, we will stop there. Any questions? Ready to hit it?
I'm ready. The audit kit says.
I'm excited.
We'll see how he does in the quizzes and tests, and I'll let you guys know if he's bummed out.
You have no idea. I'm so good at school.
He's against me.
All right, we'll see.
He's the opposite.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Good deal. And that's what it's all about. It's all about learning and growing.